The Constitution is a unified structure, and therefore any one part of it has to work in conjunction and cooperation with all the other parts. So if you look at the roles of the militia versus the roles of the regular armed forces, the Army and the Navy, for instance, the Army and the Navy's focus is on external threats, essentially foreign problems, which might eventuate in invasion or attack on the United States, but primarily they're looking outside of the borders of the United States. The militia's primary function in the Constitution is to execute the laws of the Union. That's entirely an internal operation. They're going to be functioning as a type of police mechanism. Two other functions of the militia are to suppress insurrections, which is a recognition that you could have insurrections, rebellions within the United States, and then to repel invasions, because if the invasion were serious enough that it might overwhelm the Army and Navy, the last bastion of defense would be the militia. So all of these things have to work together. You don't want the Army, forget the Navy, because the Navy couldn't really enforce the laws within the United States. You don't want the Army enforcing domestic laws within the United States, because that's a form of martial law. And martial law was specifically excoriated in the Declaration of Independence. They attack the application of martial law by King George III. On the other hand, you couldn't rely on the militia for deployment of troops overseas to fight in foreign wars, such as World War II, for instance, because the militia are a domestic defense force. And then number three, if the country were actually invaded, you would want both the Army and the Navy and the militia to be working in close harmony to repel the invaders. So you can see how all those things work together. I mean, there's a certain amount of complementarity, there's a certain amount of exclusivity, and there's a certain amount of cooperation that has to be involved. And that's because the Constitution is a coherent whole. It didn't create the Army for some purpose that was going to be inconsistent with its application of the militia functions.